Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jorel Solis with Confidence Pest Control. And as always, thank you so much for hitting that play button, tuning in, listening to what I have to say, what we have to say today. As you can tell, I've got somebody on. It's a very, very special episode today because not only is it the very first time for me to ever have somebody on, but whenever I get to bring somebody on, I got a superstar like my man right here. So some of you may know him, especially those of you in the pest control space. He spent some time with Rent-A-Kill. We'll get into all that. I know that there is somebody who watches. You said Greg, right?
Yeah, Greg.
Greg. Hey, if you're watching, brother, Johnny mentioned you, and man, I hope you can find some value in this video as well as everybody else. It's pest control. I met Johnny randomly one day in Copper's Cove. Man, I saw it, and I saw the Endeavor pest control truck, and I said, I've never heard of that company, and no shade. For me personally, whenever I see a company, especially a pest control company, of a truck that I've never heard of, I like to swing by and just say hello. I like to introduce myself and then be like, hey, what company is this? Because a lot of times I've found that whenever it's just a truck that you've never heard of or anything, it's usually just an owner operator right there. And so I like to talk to other owners and stuff like that. So that one day we met, it was really cool. We ended up chatting it up for like 30, 40 minutes, and it was just pest control, asking each other how we got in the business and all that. But yeah, again, man, I'm sorry for all that. This is my first time to do this, so bear with me, everyone. I promise you he'll be on more times, and it'll all be more clear, and everything will be done in a much better fashion. But right now, again, everybody, this is Johnny Williams, and again, thanks for being with us, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So real quick, Johnny, man, tell us about you, and who were you at 17 years old, man? I like to take it back a little bit because I know that if you're like most people in pest control, you didn't grow up wanting to be in pest control. It's not like most of us are like, man, I can't wait till I get older so I can go kill bugs. So what were you like at 17? Who's Johnny Williams as a junior, senior? And I stole that from Jonas Olson, but again, 17 years old, who were you?
Okay, 17 years old. I was probably going into my senior year of high school. And down in South Florida.
Okay.
And I was a band dork.
Is that right?
Yeah, band dork, junior ROTC, stuff like that.
Kid, huh?
Yeah. So never played. Well, I played some sports, younger, whatnot. I tried out for football, whatnot, but just wasn't my thing. Right. So I am, somewhat of a band dork and whatnot. But as a 17-year-old, I grew up in a single family home, and even at that age, I had, a lot of drive to be successful in something. I didn't necessarily know what that was, but I did have, a real drive to be not only somebody, but just be a successful citizen here, within this United States. I would just say I had a very powerful drive to be successful. I had a lot of doubters, growing up. A lot of people thought that I was going to be, nothing, drug dealer or, like my father or whatnot. But I wanted to prove people wrong. So I just had a lot of drive to prove people wrong.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, it seems like you've done it, man. You're killing it, dude.
I hope so. I'm still working on it.
Everyone's going to figure out who you are. They'll know. But I personally know that you've done well, man. So good job. I know what it's like to come from, I really come from nothing. I haven't made it big by any means, but I mean, I've never, I'm one of the very first people in my family to ever even own a house. By the way, we're in my garage. If y'all can see the setup, you would laugh, but we're in my garage, so nothing fancy. But I know how it goes, man. Yeah. And back to the band stuff, dude. I'll tell you what, man. And see, me, I was on the opposite side, and I was always into sports my entire life. I was a competitor, dude. I love competing. I was always a physical guy. I love to hit people. I mean, not anger issues, but I love hitting the quarterback. I was a football player, so I did all that. But those the band. I mean, while we're out there doing two, and I'm taking it back 20 years back to high school.
Yeah.
But when we were out there doing those two-a-days, hats off to the band, because I know for us, like our band was out there in the parking lot, and you got to, they have to get everything ready to know how to march. And in most high schools, you'll see like the parking lots with like the football design in them so that the band knows. And I watched that, and dude, it's a black top, in the middle of Florida or Texas. Oh, dude, I couldn't even imagine. So, yeah, to even be in band in high school in Florida, I'd have probably been like a drug dealer or something like that. I'm not going to lie. I like to work hard, but I don't know. I've been to Florida sometimes, and I don't know that I could handle that type of Florida humidity and the
humidity is
in
real.
The summertime. I just, nah, I'm good, bro. So pest control in the summertime for you, you growing up like that, all that in Florida, it ain't nothing, man.
Right.
I got you. But well, that's good stuff, man. We can always, I can get sidetracked pretty easily, so I don't want to. But yeah, I love that. And did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or did you know that you just I'm not trying to take the spotlight from me, but me, I always knew that I wanted more, but never that I wanted to be a business owner. I didn't come from anybody who was business owners, so that was never my, that was never me. I never thought that I'd be a business owner, but I always wanted to work hard. Now for you, you said, you clearly, killed it, and you had that drive. Is entrepreneurship something that you always wanted to do, or you were just, was business ever on your mind like that?
No, business was not on my mind like that. In fact, leaving high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually got accepted into Florida A&M University, and I came in undecided.
Shout out to all the HBCUs, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out. I came in undecided or undesignated, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I was doing general studies.
Right.
So my first 2 years of college, I was, just doing the basic courses or whatnot, until I decided on my major, which was criminal justice.
Really?
Yeah. So I wanted to either be, somewhere in law enforcement, or maybe even the doing law.
Right.
And but unfortunately, I didn't finish college. I had my first child while I was in college. And so went a different route from the college thing to joining the military from there.
That's right. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, me personally, I knew that I never wanted, like, school. I knew from like 4th, 5th grade, I knew that I didn't like I just never liked school, and I knew that college was never an option. So people are saying, unfortunately, I didn't graduate, dude. Only time I've ever been to college campus was to freaking sell some college kids some weeds, I imagine, or something like that. I'm just kidding. I never did that, I promise. But I was never on college campuses, so at least you made it there, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you said you were in the military, and I know this, but for everybody else, you said you were in the Navy?
Yep, I was in the Navy.
All right. And see, what's cool about that is, John, Navy and the Marine Corps, for those of you who don't know, the Marine Corps doesn't have its own department. There's the Department of the Army, Department of the Air Force, Department of the Navy, and then the Marine Corps falls under the Department of the Navy, and we're what you call the men's department.
We're not going to start today.
I'm just giving them a hard time. No, I love all my Navy guys. I love it, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. So, but that's a great question that I have right here, and it says. So and real quick, how long were you in the Navy?
I was just in for about 3 years before I got out, because I had a medical issue with my back.
Okay.
But I made a petty officer before getting out. So
get some NCO. All right, get some. And on that, real quick, what are some of the takeaways that you have? And I wouldn't say life in general, but more specifically from the Navy. Like, I mean, what's something that you took away from that you apply every day in your life, but more in particular towards your business? What's something that military transition from military to entrepreneurship and business owner?
So one thing that I learned while being in the military or in the Navy was that anybody can be successful. So it doesn't matter the color of your skin. whether or not, well, obviously you can't be heavy in the military,
right.
but there's all walks of life coming into the military or into the Navy and whatnot. And I noticed that it didn't matter. I mean, I saw, black chiefs, I saw Hispanic chiefs, I seen Asian chiefs and whatnot. And, at one point in time while I was in the military, I wanted to accomplish those goals too. And so bringing that into my business now is that, like, there's no excuse why I cannot do this, why I cannot be successful. So every day I put that in my mind that, hey, today's a new day. Let's just be successful. Are we going to have good days or bad days? Yes, we are going to have bad days. You just got to overcome those bad days.
Absolutely, man. I love that. And I love that you say it doesn't matter, who you are, what you are, you can be successful. There's a quote that I remember seeing years and years ago, and it said, it was like an Air Force guy, and it was like a black general from, I couldn't tell you who, it could have just been made up, but he says, racism, you don't worry about it. It's not racist in the Marines, whether you're black, white, Mexican, Asian. They treat you, and it was a black guy back. He said they treat, in the Marines, they treat you all like you're all black. He said, so it sucks no matter what.
I love that.
And so that's funny, but you're right. You can't succeed in any of all that. And now, with all that being said, now we've got Johnny. He was in the Navy, all that. So how did you go from your high school band, all that, then you make it to Florida. You're in college. That you decide, you start a family. You join the Navy. I know that's hard. I mean, I've got a Marine Corps flag right there. I know. I was never married. I was a young single Marine, so I had it made in the shade. I didn't have to but I didn't have a family that was relying on me. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have any kids. Right. So now let's fast forward a little bit. You're medically separated from the Navy. How do you make your way into pest control?
Okay. So while I was transitioning out of the Navy, I noticed that all of my interviews were coming out of the state of Texas. Fortunately, I had my sister and her ex-husband were stationed here at Fort Hood.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I called her up and I said, hey, I keep getting all these interviews here. I'm thinking about moving to Texas. And she was like, come on down. So I came down. Unfortunately, I got a lot of interviews as an electrician. It's just that I didn't have enough experience to become an electrician, and especially with the starting pay that I was looking for. So I found a company called Mass Tech. Mass Tech is the largest subcontractor for DirecTV. So for a while, I was installing satellite dishes for DirecTV. Got tired of that, and I'm like, I don't even like being on roofs. I'm afraid to be on ladders and whatnot. And I keep seeing this ad or this job posting for a service specialist for a company called Steritech. And I look at the job, requirements and whatnot, and it says commercial pest control, service specialist, where we would provide pest control services for commercial businesses.
Right.
And so I applied for it, and I got the job. And I, even though I never thought that I would be in pest control, I ended up in it. I was extremely afraid of certain pests, like your rodents or whatnot. So I told them, hey, I like what you guys are telling me, and it's easy to spray things and different stuff like that. But I have a fear of rodents, and how can I overcome that? So the company I was working for, Steritech, they had a very intense training. So you have like a month or two of on-the-job training with a certified applicator that's in that particular district. And then from there, you go for 2 weeks of training, either in Orlando, Florida, Charlotte, or California. So I went to Orlando, and the first thing I told the instructor, hey, I need to learn as much as I can about rodents, because I have a deep fear of them.
Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what they did. We got hands-on with the rodents, and I learned so much. And ever since then, that kind of, when I figured out that I don't actually have to touch these things, I can use traps. I can do other devices and stuff like that. Now, eventually, throughout the years, I had to put some hands on stuff.
For sure.
But, that's how I eventually ended up in the business. And I started loving it, man. As a technician, I made, to be honest with you, I made tons of money, doing that as a technician. I was making well over $100,000 as a technician. And because, I was just open to learning, willing to advance, and everything that I just was like a sponge. And everything that I learned about the business, I just loved it, from the sales to the, the technical side of it, to the management side of it. I just loved it. So I just absorbed as much as I could. And I didn't, yes, we are experts, but at the same time, I pretend as if I'm not an expert. And I'm willing to learn as much as I can from anybody. I don't care if you've been in the industry for a month. If you got something new to teach me, I'm open to it.
For sure.
But yeah.
I love that, man. That's awesome. I love that story because, again, it's very, I guarantee you that most of the people that are going to see this video or that are already in the pest control industry, that's how it is. For me and my boss, we did not like each other. I realized, it's funny because hindsight 2020, right? You look back, and me looking back now, I'm like, well, no wonder I never was very good at any jobs, because I'm not made to be an employee, man. I suck at being an employee. Like, I was a solid Marine, but I suck at being an employee. It's not my thing. But yeah, we get into the business and we just find our way into it somehow. A lot of times we need a job, and you go online and it's pest control technician, start technician, or sales or something. No experience needed. It's very, because the barrier to entry for whether you're starting a business or to just get in is pretty simple to get in the pest control industry. So a lot of times, so many people, I have fallen in that same trap of I just need a job for a little bit, and I'll do this just for a little while, and then they get into the industry and they realize that it is pretty fun. I know I used to think that I was above being an exterminator. I'm a Marine. I was like, now I'm a bug guy. It's like, no. But once you really get a feel for the industry, the people, and then the task, because it can be monotonous. And I say this in the videos. Yes, you are going to 10, 12, 14 homes or commercial spaces where you're doing a lot of the similar stuff. I de-web, I spray, I granulate, I do that, so it's like the same thing. But at each stop, there's also different. Everyone has different issues, and so that's one of the things that I personally love is that. Yes, it can be very similar to this house can be very similar to the house right next to them, but it's something different. And so solving the issues and just the different things that happen that come along with the job. I agree with you. After I left the industry for just a couple of years, and whenever COVID happened, I was trying to figure out what do I do, because I was in hospitality. I said, this isn't working. What do I do? And I just kept coming back to pest control because of how much I enjoyed the industry. And I never thought I would have, especially when I first started to then. So that's good stuff, man. I love that. Let's see. Now, talking about starting your business, you talked about wanting to learn, and I know this a little bit about you, but tell for everybody else. So you started at Mass Tech. Is that
Steritech?
Steritech, okay. And is that like Eco, or were they bought out by any chance, or are they still around or anything like that?
No, they're no longer around. They were acquired by Rent-A-Kill.
Rent-A-Kill, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's right.
I think it was my 5th year in with Steritech is when they got acquired by Rent-A-Kill.
Okay.
And I was with Rent-A-Kill for an additional 5 years. Worked my way up to an operations manager, and then from there a district manager.
And just so I paint the picture clear and everybody else understands. So you're a district manager for Rent-A-Kill.
Yes.
That's not a small feat by any means. That's something that you can be proud of. I would assume you're making decent money.
Yeah.
As a district manager for a company like that, you guys. You don't have to tell me any numbers, but I'm assuming you're probably in the 6-figure range at that type of position.
Yeah, I was in the 6-figure
All
range
right, and
at that position. Yes.
So for most people, most Americans never even get that. I mean, the average household in America, it makes like $40,000. So you, as not even as a business owner, but as just an employee, we're doing 6 figures. You're doing pretty good. What happened? I mean, did they fire you?
No.
Well, I mean, because not a whole lot of people are going to just walk away from that to start their own business. So
Right.
what led you from you're a district manager doing pretty well, making 6 figures, and your wife is loving that, and so you tell her, I'm going to start my own business, 6 figures. I mean, how did you go about that? Because that's a great lead
Right.
into the next question. How did you go about getting ready? What was your support system like? I mean, what did your wife say whenever you said, "Hey, I know I'm making 6 figures and we got a good life. I'm going to go ahead and start my own company,"
Right.
so that we're making a minuscule amount of what we're making right now, unless she's working or anything like that. But I mean, your pay goes down from a whole lot to a whole little, but and that's fine. A lot of people, especially the ones who believe in themselves, and you're killing it, man. So, but what was the reason that you made that jump into into entrepreneurship?
So
Because you're doing pretty good by yourself or as an employee. So what happened?
So, but before, so I was with Rent to Kill as a district manager. I actually left Rent to Kill to go to Orkin as a branch manager.
Oh no! Let's move one 6-figure job for another 6-figure job. Oh, right, you just had it so hard, huh, Johnny?
So I left Rent to Kill during the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
I was, to be honest with you, I was a little frustrated about the situation that was going on, how they were handling things and whatnot. I took a pay cut, lost bonuses and whatnot, and we went from a $500,000 branch a month to $1 million branch monthly because of COVID, because we were doing disinfecting.
Well, that was I was going to get to that real quick, because across the board, and you listen to podcasts, or you do any research, you see that during COVID, where most companies went back and they took a lot of steps back, a lot of the home services industry and pest control in particular, everybody you talk to, most owners, they'll tell you that COVID was the best year that they ever had. So you're taking pay cuts and you're making more money, or the company's making more money.
Yes, and they were requesting us to lay people off and whatnot, and just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I had my original supervisor from Stereotech, he had left Rent to Kill maybe 2 years before me.
Okay.
And he went to Orkin, and
so you already had a foot in the door, huh?
And I'm like, I said, hey, how's things going over there at Orkin? He said, great. I said, have y'all laid people off? No. Do you have to use your PTO time when you get sick? No, they pay for that, and they tell us to hold on to that. They treating us, really good.
Right.
We're making a ton of money over here. And I was like, man, well, how do I get over there?
Right.
And he was like, you want to come over here? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll get you on. And sure enough, he did, got me on as a branch manager.
Wow.
So I was with Orkin for about 2.5 years. And I was a branch manager in the Killeen area first.
Okay.
I was there for about 8 months. Got that branch going in the right direction, and they asked me to go to Austin. So I took on Austin and got that branch turned around, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, we're making a ton of money, man. And I'm like, I could do this myself.
Yeah, because those are some markets, man. Austin, if you can run an office in Austin, Texas, bro. A pest control office. I mean, with the saturated market, and I mean, there's plenty of room for all of us to eat at the table. Right. But I bet that's a confidence builder. Being able to do all that.
Yeah.
For you, that's awesome. And
yes,
so
sir.
that's how you the realization. Hey, I've done this with Rent to Kill, and now I did this with the Killeen branch. Now I'm doing this with the Austin branch. And now you're thinking, you know what, I could do this, and instead of just taking a piece of the pie, I could have a a much larger piece, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I realized that, and it started. People always said to me, I always had customers, even with Stereotech, "Hey Johnny, why don't you start your own thing?" And I always shied away from it because I didn't want the liability.
Right.
I didn't want to do residential at the time. But Orkin exposed me to the residential side of it, and like, man, there's money there. There's money on the commercial side, and there's money on the residential side. But I when it started, flickering in my head that, hey, you probably should go ahead and do this yourself. I prayed on it, and I got my answer, and I talked to my wife about it, and
how did she feel? I mean, again, what was her reaction? And because this is kind of like a make or break deal. You talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and and I didn't mean to cut you off, but in my experience, it's such a critical part right here, having that support system and having that partner that supports you, because the ones who really made it, like, oh, dude, she supported me all the way. And is that the same thing with you? I mean, was she all about it, or was she nervous?
She was nervous. So, coming from the fact we were comfortable with where we were at, had a steady flow of income coming in, and we didn't need or have to want for anything. And we have 8 kids too. So, but anyways,
it's 2025. They have Netflix and they have TVs. You should have bought one of those years ago, bro. Yeah, man. 8 kids. Woo.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. But yeah, she had a little bit of fear at the time, and also we prayed about it, and she started realizing it, and I started writing down in my phone a game plan on how we needed to be, what I needed to do to be successful. And when I presented this to her, and she realized, that this thing could possibly work if we follow this plan. I mean, are we going to be able to follow it to a T? No, it's not realistic. But I had a plan, and I brought it to her to make her feel a little bit more comfortable about it. And then, the message that she received after she prayed, it was to go ahead and let's do this.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I really do. And that's another, because that question is kind of like a 2-part. It's like, hey, you find out she was nervous, but when you have someone that believes in you, brother, I mean, you feel like you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof, right? I know for me personally, my wife, I've told her, and she kind of took a deep breath, but at the same time, she understood that, they know who they marry,
right?
Exactly. And so if we get even for me, it was like, hey, I want to start my own business. Do you think I should do it? Like, and when she gave me that yes, it's like, all right, I knew that I was kind of ready. Well, that's great stuff, man. And shoot, I had something in my head and I just lost it. Man, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. Bear with me again. Okay. And the plan. The plan. So you don't have to walk us through that entire plan. But what were some of the key takeaways from that plan where she was like, okay, like obviously somebody could write down and be like, I have a plan. Start a business, make money, live happy. And it's like, okay, it's very, very easy to think. A lot of these people watching, like, hey, you know what? I'm really good at killing bugs.
Right.
Like, man, you know what? I'm the best technician in my entire branch. I get the best reviews. I'm really good at killing bugs. Or you're maybe the best salesman. I'm really good at selling how to do this. Can't kill bugs for anything, but I can tell you that my guy's I can sell you. They've got those personable skills, and they're great salesmen. But what were some of those key points of the plan where that kind of rested her mind, where she knew, okay, like, he's really serious about this. He's not just talking about it. I mean, obviously, she knows who you are. She saw that you could run and operate these other branches. But what were some of the key takeaways for you and some of the more important things that you did in order to set yourself up for success or to start the business?
Got you. So, one of the biggest things, because like I said, I had 8 kids. Where was
real quick? I cut you off because I'm an amateur. But we were talking about it, and where did I cut you off?
We were talking about
okay, it was, yeah, and how you started. I know, it's funny because we all have our own how we started. It's like, hey, we all knew we wanted to start a business. There's some people that had to save up for an entire year, and they're like, hey, I gotta work a second job so that they gotta save up so that they can have that money. You pull out retirement, and it's scary to have to cash all these things out and have to to just all the money that was put away that you had saved, and for the future, you have to take all that out to start your business, man. How did that feel?
It felt good, man. Well, it was scary, right? Not that it felt good, but just convincing her to understand, like, I have a plan here, and here's where we'll get the money from, and that she understood that I am very, like, when I have my mind set on something, I'm going to see it all the way through, and I have, like I said, my drive is like unmatched. I don't care, Jorel, you're pretty close to me, but you're not like me. But she understood that if I say I can do this and I have a plan in place, then I can absolutely get this done and make this happen. So she was completely on board once she, saw the numbers. Okay, hey, this is what I'm projecting to do my first year in business. And, the first month was a little bit rocky, and then the second month it like took off from there.
Is that right?
Yes. And
so did you hit your projected numbers for your first year?
I went beyond that.
Did you really?
Yes.
If you don't, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, but were they 6 figures at least for your first year?
Yeah, my first full year was 6 figures.
Really? Yeah. And now your first full year, because some people will be like, oh yeah, my first year was, I had 6 figures in business, and they started in January. So was it your first full year of business that you hit 6 figures? Because for me, I started in April. Yeah. I didn't come close to 6 figures from April to December personally. Yeah. When did you start your business?
I started my business in July. I think the first job I did was July 21st
of
2023.
Of 20. Okay, so 2 years. So you started right after I did. Wow, I didn't realize, dude. See, you got, dude. Yeah, you guys are listening to me. No, I promise I'm listening to him, all right? Because he started 3 or 4 months after I did. He's crushing it. Yeah. And so that's awesome, man. And dude, that's awesome. And so you've grown pretty well. You have a technician, correct?
Yep, I have a technician.
That's awesome, man. And as somebody who has experience in managing, because again, a lot of the audience that's going to be watching is former technicians turn business owner, or former sales turn business owner. But as someone who's kind of ran the operations and branch manager, region, or managing the way you've done, what are some of the more important things that people should look at? I've got one guy, shout out Daniel, over there in Abilene. I know, some guys, there's people that are a little bit further ahead, and they're curious about like KPIs. You've got experience, and this is a little bit further down the road for a lot of us. But what are some important KPIs that you think are very, very crucial? This is specifically for some of you guys who are trying to manage some of your guys. What are some of the more important KPIs that you want to keep? If you only had to keep track of 3 KPIs in your business, what are those 3 KPIs that you're going to look out for?
So if you're a solo operator, you're working by yourself, I think the top 3 would be, first of all, retention. Keeping your retention to a minimum. So I would say maybe about 1.5%, if not even less than that, when you're starting off. Because if you can't retain the business, then you're not going to make the money. You're constantly fighting yourself. Yes, you should be growing it, but you also should be retaining that business as well. And then another KPI I would say is collections. So just making sure you collect on, at either at time of service, or you need to put these customers on subscription payments.
And that's a big one. I just want to pause on that really, really quick, because it happens so often. I talk to owners, and even I was guilty of it in the beginning. You're thankful for the sale, and people inherently, in my opinion, want to do good, but they're not always thinking about it. It's not top of mind. So sometimes it's like, hey, I'll do this, and then just pay me later on, or I'll send you the invoice and you can pay. That's pretty important to make sure you're paying, and that's one thing that I would stress to all all the brand new business owners. Make sure you get a card on file. That's the biggest thing, and there's going to be one word that I recommend that you do implement this into your script and make this happen, and it solves all your issues. It really does. Say, all of our customers have a card on file that's required. That one word, say it's required.
Right.
And now you don't ever have to worry about them. I mean, unless there's insufficient funds, or they might have a payment hold, things like that. But the last thing you want to do is do 15 jobs and only collect on one job because you don't have and these people, most of them aren't intentionally trying to scam you or trying to get away with anything, but we've all got things going on. So the biggest thing that you can do as an owner, one of the best things that I recommend, I would say that you just hit on it, is make sure that you have payment information. You collect that payment information, because there's nothing worse than spending your time, your product, your money, and using your equipment, all that wear and tear, gas, all that on a job, and you make nothing on it, man. And I promise you, there's going to be plenty of them. But if you can start, and especially in the beginning, you can use that word, hey, we require a card on file. You can minimize all that, and you can save yourself a whole lot of headache. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that was such a good point.
Right. But to add to that, Jorel, like an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's important to have an agreement. And a lot of people are afraid to use agreements with their customers because it's a contract,
right.
And customers fear it sometimes because there might be a cancellation fee or whatnot. With my agreements, I don't have a cancellation fee or whatnot. If a customer needs to cancel, they can cancel. But also, it's just keeping something open and honest with them. So I pride myself on being honest with my customers, so they understand what pests they're covered for, how often they're coming out, what they're paying for, how often they're paying this amount, and the terms of this agreement is for 1 year. But if they needed to cancel, they can cancel at any time. Now, I always tell them, hey, don't wait for me to show up at your door to perform a service to cancel then. But it's just, I feel like it's very important to have those agreements, man. And you never know, you might have to sell your business. And a lot of companies run into an issue where they don't have those agreements, so they don't get what their business is worth because they're missing those pieces. So I that's why I feel agreements are very important. I always make sure that my customers sign an agreement. Unless they do like a one-time treatment, but they should be signing an agreement then as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. You're absolutely right, man. And most of these CRMs, Gorilla Desk, Field Routes, they all come with that structure or that agreement already in there. I mean, and you can customize it to your specific company, but that agreement's there, and it's for protection for you and for the customer. So I highly, I couldn't agree more with that. There's a lot of times when people will do a shake hand deal, and just be professional. Orkin does agreements. You can say that, Rent-A-Kill. I mean, all these companies do agreements, and they weren't always as big as they are. They started off, but you as an entrepreneur, yes, even though you're a small mom and pop company, you also want to present yourself as that guy that can do the same thing that Orkin, because companies and customers, in your community, they're going to say, okay, well, if it's between you and Orkin, I want to support my local company. But if they find out that it's you and Orkin, but all the benefits, that they can only do one or two things with you, and they can do everything else with Orkin, and that they're insured and that they're safe. All those things they're going to go with Orkin, even though they want to support that mom and pop local company. If you're not the real deal, and by the real deal, I don't mean you have to be Orkin. You just need to be insured. You need to be licensed. You need to be doing all the things the right way. And I 100% agree. You need to have those agreements. I mean, and people will say, "Oh no, I don't like contracts." The agreement just holds each other accountable. It says, "Hey, listen, you're agreeing to a year service. I'm going to come out here every month, every other month, or every quarter. I'm going to do the service. We've agreed on the price. As long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to, you agree to pay me. If I ever, if I'm ever not doing it, same thing with me. I don't charge a cancellation fee. If I said life happens,
yep.
If you need to move or something like that, then I'm not going to make you have to pay me $300, because you had to move. Or if you're unhappy with the service, then you're not canceling. I lost you as a customer, so it's real easy. And you can get into the, weeds on all that, and people can do it. But me personally, is from, just taking a step back, I figure my point of view is, if I'm not earning your business every service, then you have every right to cancel. And if I'm not doing what I should be, if I show up to your house and I only spray without doing anything else, and you cancel, and then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you can cancel, but I'm going to charge you $300 if I, because I'm not holding up my end. So those agreements are super important, and I agree with everything you said. And how about anything else? You have any other KPIs that people should keep an eye out for?
I would also watch callbacks. So because you lose money by having to constantly return to a customer that you're not expecting to return to.
Oh, for sure.
So if you're running into issues like that, where you're constantly getting customers that are calling back for retreats or whatnot, you might want to identify what those issues are. And you need to come up with a game plan to resolve that as quickly as possible, because it can start hurting your pockets big time.
For sure. Absolutely, man. Reservices, dude, you're just taking away from profits. Right. I mean, you're using gas. You're using more gas to go back out there. It's more time to go back out there. It's more product to go back out there. I mean, I don't see any upsides to reservices. Right. I mean, other than it's just making sure the customer's happy and, building that trust. But other than that, I mean, business-wise, you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So make sure you do a good service. You're doing all the right things so that you don't have to go to reservice, because there's nothing worse than having, a bunch of reservices on your stop. I mean, it's just money that you're not making. Right. So you don't want to do that. Great stuff, man. I appreciate that. Good stuff. We're gonna switch gears a little bit. All right, and we're gonna rewind a little bit. So you're going on 2 years, and you've already got a technician on board, so you're doing pretty well. What are some of the key factors that have helped you get from, very, very, no customers to now you have enough for, a technician and some, and you're growing still. So how'd you get there, man?
So just really focusing on growth, just pushing it when you don't want to push it, when you're tired, when you're just mentally drained, just getting out there and knocking on doors, or just pushing your name out there as much as possible. So I've connected with quite a few different property management companies.
Okay.
So I get a lot of work from property management companies, and it helped my company grow as quickly as possible.
And how did, I don't mean to cut you off, but a lot of people are going to say, okay, how do I connect with these people? It's funny, because people who get it done, they'll go out and get it done. For me, I walked in, I Googled property management companies, and I made sure that my shirt wasn't wrinkled or anything, that I looked good. And I just went into every single one of them. And I said, hey, my name's Jorel. I own a local pest control business. I'm sure you already have somebody who does this, but if there's ever a chance and maybe you need some help or you have something that needs to get done, I'd love the opportunity to run your business. That's exactly what I say.
Yeah.
And I keep it simple like that. I'd say, I'd love the opportunity because I'm sure most property companies have somebody as well. I'm sure, if you just started, 2 years ago, I guarantee you those property management they already had somebody.
Yeah.
So how did you get that foot in? How did you approach them? How did you connect with them? And then how did you end up stealing their business from whoever else was doing it before?
So some of them, I just walked in the door and basically did what you did.
I love it.
There's others that I actually acquired through Google Local Services.
Really?
Yes. In fact, my second largest property management company came through there, but they were my first property management company that I ever received. And it was definitely a blessing when I received them. So because it came right when I needed them. Actually, that's not my largest came from Google Local Services as well. And that property management is actually still growing to this day. So they add on more properties for me every single month, and there is reoccurring revenue. So by the time they're done, it's going to be a 261 units, single family homes, once it's done. So
that's a full month of work for for a guy. That's awesome.
Yeah. So but I also learned that when I'm taking care of these tenants, I treat the tenants as if I work for them,
right,
and not only just for the property management company. Because when they move on somewhere else, they're going to be calling me for services. So I get referrals from that. And I also get referrals from the property management for current tenants that are looking for reoccurring services or treatments or whatnot. So I get my foot in the door that way as well. But also I've obtained other property managements from some of my current property management companies because they referred me to them. So
really?
Yeah, so that's been truly a blessing for me, and that's a little bit how I received some of these management companies.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I love that, and that's great for all the listeners, everybody who's watching. I stress that a big one because when you're first getting started, nobody knows your brand, nobody knows you. So trying to get that recurring services, especially if you're not like a door knocker and you're not, if that's not you. There's so many different ways to get customers. They say there's a million ways to skin a cat, right? Well, and that's a great one. I love that. Using the property management and then building that long-term relationship with all those tenants because they're not going to be tenants forever. Maybe it's short-term. They're going to buy, whatever the case is. But I really do like that. That approach to it. And you say local service ads. For everybody who's watching. So when you're getting new customers, are you paying for most of your customers? And I say that with local service ad, LSAs and pay per click. Were you investing in advertising for yourself personally in your company, or were you, out there? Again, I know property management is one of the ways you've gotten a lot of business, but is that your primary focus of business? Do you get a lot from because I don't pay Google anything personally. So do you?
Yeah, so Google Local Service ads.
Progress. It's the first time for all this, so bear with us. We're getting through it, but bear with us. So you've paid for Google stuff, right? You've spent money and you've done free things, but people are always going to want to know, hey, how much can I get with my free? Like, how far will free get me, and how far will pay get me? And that's something I want to know personally because I'm still on you see me on Facebook. For those of you who don't know, we're right down the road from each other. So he's seeing me all over the place on Facebook because I'm posting. You're seeing me all over, but I don't pay. So do you have, and this is specifically my question, do you have a whole lot more success with all your paid stuff? Like, are you getting a lot more leads from your, obviously it's paid and everything like that, but is it a noticeable difference for you?
So to be honest with you, I started the business off with paying for leads. I'm not that type of guy to go knock at doors and whatnot. Now, if it's commercial businesses, I'll walk in all day. That's no big deal for me. But I'm not, on social media like that, so I'm not, good like those things like you are.
Not even, bro. You see how many times we've had to start this stuff?
Yeah,
All messed up.
you're a lot better than me because I wouldn't even do this. So, but I started off with paying for Google local services, Thumbtack, and Yelp.
And for those of you who don't know, Thumbtack is another small little app. It's a great one. Depending, I've heard good and bad things. Again, don't listen to me on that part. You go figure that out. If you think that hey, this market might be solid for Thumbtack, give it a shot. If it you're either going to succeed or you won't. I mean, and if you don't, then at least you know what to not do. But I've heard some positive things. So Thumbtack's been helpful for you, huh?
Yeah, Thumbtack was very helpful for me. It still is helpful for me. So, yeah, you're going to run into people who are looking for, the cheapest price,
Right.
Unfortunately. But if you can get in front of these customers and explain to them the difference between you and, the guy next door or
Right.
whatnot, then they're going to buy from you. I just sold an exclusion job, almost $2,000, and they didn't even bat an eye. When I
Right.
explained to them exactly what I was doing and how much time I'm going to spend on this, they understood the value of the service. So, if you can explain those things to your customers, you don't have to, be cheap about things. Yeah, you want to win the job, but at the same time, you can't cheat yourself too. So if you're paying for all this material, your time is money. So the more time you spend on a particular customer, you need to be making sure that you're, taking care of yourself as well, because, like I said, time is money.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more with that. I think that, especially as a new guy, we all it's like, hey, we're a brand new company. Let's just lowball it. Let's just get customers by being the lowest price. A lot of people might have that mindset. It's like, hey, listen, I know that I'm not Orkin or Terminex. I can't compete with them, but and so the only way that I can compete is by offering a really, really low, price service, and it'll work. A lot of times it'll work, but you shoot yourself in the foot because you're not making any money on it, and you know you want with what we do in pest control. Not everybody sees the value in it.
Right.
Not every some people. Me and you personally, I can kill spiders all day long. I don't. If I see a spider mouse, it doesn't bother me. I can kill it. My wife, if I wasn't the pest control guy, she would 100% made sure that we had hired Johnny from Endeavor because she'd be like, no, we're not going to deal with this. But again, and maybe you'd be able to sell that value to me, but that is such a key point. And when it comes to sales and just life and with everything, and for all you guys, when you're trying to figure out how do I price it higher. The higher you price it, that's fine, but make sure you bring a lot of value with that price. So I promise you, there will be people out there that are willing to pay $300 a quarter for year-round pest control if the value was worth that $300. So again, I just canceled a guy yesterday because I was giving him a really big discount, because he has a property management company and I do his home. And just real quick story. I was doing his quarterly services for $90 a quarter.
Okay, you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. And he complained to me that my prices were too high, that he was used to paying half that and only a couple of services a year. And I mean, so you want to pay $45 for a triannual service? Right. I mean, some people might want to do that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what was going through his mind, but he said he was happy with the service. He said he wasn't having any issues. The value is there, but he just I don't know if he liked me or what. I don't know what was going on. That was one of those weird ones where I'm like, you see the value in it, but he understood and he appreciated not having the bugs, but at the same time, he didn't think that it was worth $90. He thought he could be able to pay that $45 and get the same exact results.
Right.
y'all jot it down. Don't be surprised here in May or June that he calls you back saying that, because
I made a mistake.
exactly that's what's going to happen. And he didn't see the value at $90, but if he calls you back, you're paying $120. Yeah,
Exactly.
you had your opportunity, and so hey, yeah, I'll bring you back on, but you fired me for
Right.
so now you're paying full price
Plus an initial.
exactly, and you're going to pay for that initial service. Absolutely, but the whole takeaway from that is the value. The value building. I can't stress that enough. Whenever you are, as the owner, as the salesman, as the technician, doing the service, and it's not always salesman building value, selling it. Because after the salesman, or even you, after you sell it, now you've made that sale, and I talk about it all the time, having to continue to earn our customers' business. Because a lot of people, I made a sale today because a company that we've talked about today has been doing their service for a long time, but over the past few months, they've started not letting the customer know when they're going to be there. They just show up and bill. I mean, they're not earning their business anymore, and that's where so many people make that mistake. And so, even as a technician, you got to build that value as a sales guy, and sell it to them. And to make that sale, you got to build that value. Hey, that's a lot of money, but it's worth it. But then, if it's recurring service, as the technician, as the owner, whoever's out there, you have to continue to do that great job to earn that business and build that value every single time. I can't stress that enough on how important value is for businesses and for customers and all that good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, I always pride myself in my technician in providing our customers with world class service. Um, we always try to separate ourselves from the Orkins of the world, the Terminex of the world, the Rentokils, and try to show our customers, hey, you're going to get our smiling faces every time we walk up to the door. We're going to sweep your eaves and windows every single service. We're going to, give you a double barrier treatment with granules and a liquid residual around your home to prevent things from coming in as much as possible. But we're also going to educate you and let you know of different things that need to be done around the home outside of what we can control to make sure that your home stays pest free.
Absolutely. And you use one word dude, I love that word. And you said educate, man.
Yeah.
Educating these customers is 90% of the freaking job, man. That's such. It gets slept on so much. People, they'll say, "Hey, I want you to, come do my pest control," and then you'll do their initial, and they'll call you 2 weeks later and fire you because they're seeing bugs, and that's because whoever did it, whoever sold it, or whoever did the service didn't educate that customer. Right. Hey, just so you know, after the service, you're going to see an increase in pest activity.
Exactly.
We just disturbed all these bugs around your home, so now they're going to be looking for somewhere else to go.
Right.
But that's a good thing, because as they're up and moving around, they're just walking all over the product that we just put down, and now we're going to eliminate these pests from your home. But it's not uncommon to see some more activity.
Right.
That right there prevents cancellations, prevents callbacks. So educating the customer, dude, it's key, man. I love that, dude. I really, I told y'all, man. Johnny's the man. He knows exactly what you need to do. Real quick, I know we're running a little short on time, so I'm gonna pick a couple of questions that I want to ask. If you had to start all over again, 2 years. I mean, it's not like he's got, he's pretty much still in the beginning, but for those guys who are barely starting, what would, if I'm asking you, Johnny, I just pulled out my 401k, I bought my truck, everything, I've got my logo, I've got everything. I'm the best in pests, there's nobody that can kill bugs like me, but I don't know how to get customers. What do I do?
So one thing that I wish I did before starting my business, I really wouldn't change anything.
Right,
I probably wouldn't do anything different.
Right. If you're going to give advice to the next guy,
educate yourself on the things that you're not knowledgeable at. And marketing was my weakest point. It's still one of my weakest points. So I hire somebody to handle my marketing, and I get frustrated all the time when things don't go the way I expected
Shout
them
out to
to.
Rhino Marketing.
Yeah, shout out to Rhino Marketing. So if I took some time before starting my business to kind of learn marketing a little bit better, it would help me. It would have helped me in the long run to be a little bit more patient and to understand the ins and out of it. And then also, I could have probably done it myself had I took the time to learn it myself. So I always, pride myself in being like a not a jack of all trade in the pest control industry, but I know a little bit of everything
Right, right.
to be dangerous. Whether that be sales, management, the technical side of it. I don't know everything, but I know enough to get the job done. But if I had to do it over again, I would, really dive deep into the marketing side of it, so I could have planned a little bit better for that. But also, what I like to say is finding time for yourself.
It's
Um,
important.
I am horrible at it, and I do try to spend time with my family or whatnot, but sometimes you need a mental break, and sometimes you need to take a step back and say, okay, I'm taking on too much right now, or understand that, okay, 8 o'clock, working at 8 o'clock at night on top of a roof in the middle of the night, that's not good. You need to, step back. That customer can wait a little
For
bit,
sure.
you know, but just, finding time for yourself and then educating yourself on the things that you know that you're going to struggle with. And marketing was my thing, and I didn't take advantage of trying to learn that.
I got you, and that's really solid advice, man. And I say that because I talk about it, and I'm not trying to bring it to me, but that entire year, because I knew that I was going to be starting a business, so I dedicated. Because you're right. You don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to run a business. At the time, I was a salesman, technician, back or technician, sales back to
Yeah.
technician. And so I was never in that branch manager. I was never a district manager. I didn't know these things, but I knew that I didn't know these things.
Right.
So I made it a point and I dedicated an entire year, excuse me, to learning everything that I could about business and sales and marketing and advertising. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you can be the best technician in the world. You could be literally the best technician in the world. You could snap your fingers on property and all the bugs will die, and you could still not have a successful business if you don't know how to market, how to advertise,
Right.
and how to sell. I mean, all these things. It's like clockwork. All the cogs in the machine need to be going in order to make it work and run smoothly. And marketing and advertising is passed up so much because we just get so good at killing bugs.
Right.
We get so good at getting reviews from customers. It's like, hey, all this technical side, we crush it. We're just so good at it. So we know that we could have a business, but then a business is all about getting in front of people. And how do you do that? It's marketing. How are you going? There's different types of marketing. And so, yeah, I piggyback off of what Johnny said. I would highly recommend that any of you who are starting, getting ready to start doing any of that good stuff, that you take a moment and you just look into marketing. Read some books. I always recommend books. I personally recommend, or look into Donald Miller. I believe I believe his name, Donald Miller. And it's story brand marketing. It's really great stuff, but it's specifically on marketing. And I would highly recommend that all of you who are watching take the time to do exactly what he said. I mean, learn. I say it all the time. A smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So if you can take what me and Johnny are saying here, and it's not like we're very far ahead of you. Some of you might be, a little bit further ahead than us. But again, he's 2 months behind me, but 3 years ahead of me. I mean, light years ahead of me, man.
Not at all,
And
not at all.
so take advantage of the books and the knowledge from podcasts and from everybody out there. Google's your best friend. Google these things and learn how to run a business, how to market, because I say it time and time again. It's not the breasts do win, but breasts do win all day long. But it's not the best product that wins. It's the best known product that wins. So if me and Johnny, I'm telling you, if I'm a better technician than Johnny, I'm better looking than him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
I am. I can bench more than him. I'm faster than him. I'm just kidding, man. Yeah, but there's a lot of things, I've got a great service, and I can have all that. But if I'm not in front of anybody, then if I'm just sitting around twiddling my thumbs because I have the best product, but nobody knows about it, then it's useless. Now, if Johnny's over here, he sucks at pest control, dude. Can't he can kill ants, but for whatever reason they get resurrected, and Johnny's bugs they die and come back, but if he's known, he's still going to kill me at business, because he's known. It's all about that marketing, So get out there and you got to get your brand out there, Get comfortable with being uncomfortable is what I say. I know you, Johnny, you weren't too excited about getting on camera and being out here, and I'm still trying to get used to it, but people want to hear it, man. People out there, Greg, I know he's dying to hear what you had to say. I know Jason, I know he's excited to be on here, and he's excited to hear what you have to say. Daniel, so many guys, dude. I have a long list of all you guys who are watching, and I'm so thankful for you giving me your time, and for Johnny for you taking the time to be with us, man, because this is really great stuff. My entire goal is just to help others, man. I want to be the eyes around the corner for everybody in the industry. Well, all the newcomers in the industry, I try to be an open book. You're an open book, man, and this right here just goes to show you that even though we're still at the bottom tier, I guess you could say, of our pest control, yeah, we're me and him are still in the truck out here doing services, but we're collaborating, man. I love this dude. We want to collaborate, and we're in the same exact market. Same exact market. I'm trying to. There's customers that it's that are switching from him to me or me to him. So and it's business. It is what it is. But I have no ill will towards you, dude. I'm not mad at you, dude. I support and I want to see you get 100,000 accounts in this area. As long as I get 100,000 too, But I want to see you crush it, and I love it. And they always say that competition happens at the bottom and collaborations happen at the top. And he's at the top of his game. He's going to be at the top for sure. I have every intention. I'm just going to hold on to that shirt tail, and hopefully he brings me up there with him. But yeah, I love all this, and I'm going to have more guys on here, and we're going to be able to talk pest control and hopefully be those eyes for everybody else watching, and hopefully give you some good golden nuggets of wisdom that you can take and use in your business. But I say it all the time, listening to what we have to say and thinking, oh, that's a great idea, I want to use it, it's not going to do you any good. You have to implement the things that we're talking about, get out there and do it, and you will notice a difference. And so real quick, Johnny, before we get out of here, man, there's a million other questions I could ask you. Pest control, life, military, all that. But I have two questions. Well, it's one question, two part. What are you most proud of, personally and professionally?
Well, personally, I would have to say, of course, my family.
Right.
They mean the world to me. They've been very supportive. Like I said, I have 8 kids, and every single one of them have been out in the field with me at least one time.
There it is.
Whether they wanted to or
Right,
not,
right.
but they were there. I had one of my daughters up on the roof with me pulling down a raccoon the other day. The other night was last Friday night, and but they continue to blow my mind about the things that they're doing, that they're willing to do, and the things that I'm doing right now is completely for them. Um, you know, I always, when I started this business, it was all about generational wealth for me. So It's not just about me. It has to start with me at some
Right.
point, and I don't have to ever see $1 million or $1 billion or whatnot. As long as my kids get to see it one day, I'm good with that. And they don't even have to be in this industry. I just want to give them a stepping stone that I did not have as a kid, so that they can be successful in life. So they have the keys, they have the tools and whatnot to do it. I'm just trying to elevate them as much as I can. As far as professionally, I never thought that, I lied. I knew I can do this. I haven't even done it yet. That's the thing. There's so much opportunity for growth for me and in my business. Um, and it's not always about money for me. It's about helping my community as well. Yes, money is important because the only way I can help my community is if I have the revenue coming in. But I am very proud of the people I've worked with, including Jorel, but also my technician, Desmond. Really good guy. He's definitely a blessing for me. And, I'm just proud of, where we are today. And it's only getting better for us.
Absolutely, dude. I love it, man. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with every single question that I asked. I knew you would. Great information. We're gonna have to do this again, man. I
Yep,
honestly,
absolutely.
dude, there's way too many questions that I have, and this first time, this was the kind of let's get our
Yeah.
feet under us. But yeah, we're gonna have to have you back on so we can ask some more questions. I know that there's going to be a lot of questions that I get from this video, and I'll do my best to answer those. But if I have any, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how can anybody get a hold of you directly? Go ahead and give a shout out to your pest company, your email. I mean, whatever you want to do, bro. This is your call. This is your time now.
Yeah, so if anybody ever wants to reach out to me, I'm an open book, man. If I don't answer, trust me, I will call you back. Just leave me a voicemail or shoot me a text. But you can reach me directly on my business cell phone. It's 254 I also have an email address that you can shoot me an email to. It's Johnny JOHNNY .Williams@endeavorpest.com, and Endeavor is ENDEAVOR, and then Pest.
Endeavor Pest, Johnny, man, I love it, dude. Well, hey, there went my phone, but hey, thank you so much. It's a Friday afternoon. They don't even know, your wife's doing some work right now, but hey, thank you so much for spending the time. I've been begging you to get out here, and I'm so thankful that you actually took some time and that you got to spend it, and now everybody else gets to share this. But man, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Johnny, dude. You're crushing it, brother. I hope nothing but the best, man. I hope that. Well, honestly, I hope that everybody calls him, keep his phone busy. That way, whenever other customers are calling, they say, "Hey, I can't get through," and they give Confidence Pest Control a call, man. No, but all jokes aside, man, Johnny, you're a superstar in the business. I'm always going to call you with questions because I've got a lot of them. I love knowledge. I love learning, and you're a well of knowledge that I'm just going to keep coming back to drink from, man. So, you guys, hopefully you found all this knowledge, all the knowledge helpful. Like I said before, implement that in your business today and keep grinding, keep hustling, keep growing those pest control businesses. And as always, stay confident. Until next time, you guys. All right.